Now, the annual African Green Revolution Forum has come to a close in the Rwandan capital of Kigali, with 10,000 participants taking part online. President Paul Kagame, who hosted the event, called on his African counterparts to implement existing policies in order to fast-track a much-needed agrarian revolution. The 10th annual forum kicked off officially on the 8th of September, virtually, of course, in this day and age of COVID-19. It's the first time in history that is actually happening. Discussions focused on how best to move African agriculture forward. AGRF is the world's premier forum on African agriculture. It underscored the need to harness the power of Africa's young people to revitalize the sector. This year, the virtual forum came at an unprecedented time when some major African countries are facing a looming hunger crisis following the implementation of lockdown measures designed to contain the spread of COVID-19. Now then, let's assess the state of food supply chains on the continent with Dr. Agnes Kalibata. She's the president of the Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa, better known, of course, as AGRF. Now, Dr. Kalibata, thank you for your time this evening. This year's event, of course, did focus on food security in urban areas. Why did you choose to focus specifically on that issue?
Thank you, and thank you for having me. This was recognizing that Africa has been, at least before COVID, was the fastest and still is the fastest urbanizing continent. By 2030, it is estimated that 52% of Africans will be living in urban areas. So we really see an opportunity for us to link markets for farmers to the urban population. So as a result, we actually had a deal room at the AGRF, which attracted 197 businesses looking to invest, and also attracted 400 businesses looking for capital. So what we were trying to do there was trying to match the need for capital and the people that are looking to invest. So with this, we hope that we can really start showing the opportunities that African cities have and African cities can offer to growing Africa's rural areas and growing Africa's economies.
Indeed. So give us a sense of what the continental picture is like at the moment, because we've got some country data here and there. But to what extent has this pandemic dislocated food supply chains and increased food insecurity on the continent?
There's been a significant impact on food security in a number of areas. I mean, markets, of course, physical markets were disrupted, supply chains, of course, like you're saying, were disrupted, supermarkets shut down or slowed down, transport was disrupted from cities to village to rural areas. But I think the biggest disruption has also been around movement from country to country with borders closing, but also the slow movement of food from all sorts of the world as ports slow down and in some cases shut down. So the major impact of that has been that, first of all, a number of people that are employed in that food sector has significantly reduced, so people have lost jobs. But secondly, the cost of food starts going up because, again, there isn't as much volume. When you need volume the most so that you can reduce the cost of food, actually volume started reducing because of the logistical issues associated with food. And from a farmer's perspective, a lot of food is wasting on the farms in countries where they are harvesting, like Mozambique, Malawi. So we also see all those challenges happening now.
Indeed. One last question for you, Dr. Kalibata. Negotiations on the continental free trade area, they yet to be wrapped up before it comes into effect next year, hopefully on the 1st of January 2021. Are you seeing any indicators after this forum that countries are more willing to open up their food markets to each other within the CFTA, or are you still seeing more of the same old protectionism that has plagued continental food markets for so long?
The continental free trade area is quite advanced. The Secretariat is in place. Today we're having conversations with the Secretary General. It was supposed to start in July. It was moved because of COVID. It will start in January. So I have every reason to believe that African countries are committed to this working. It's a huge market for Africa and it will work. I don't think Africa is protectionist, because if Africa was protectionist, we would not be importing $80 billion worth of food that we are already producing, that we have the capability to produce. So or even importing stuff that we can do away with, like plastics and stuff like that. So I really don't think Africa is protectionist. I think Africa could do with some little bit of thinking about what is it that we produce well that we can actually share among ourselves.
But we are protectionists to each other, aren't we, Dr. Kalibata? I mean, if you look at the example of Kenya, for example, with its sugar market, year after year after year, it keeps protecting its sugar market, even though it has very inefficient producers, vis-a-vis other African producers like Uganda or Mauritius. It just keeps that sugar out of its market. Nigeria, this week, for example, has effectively tried to lock out any rice imports or fertilizer imports, and that rice could just as easily be produced anywhere else on the African continent.
So I'm not saying there's none. There's a little bit of protectionism here and there, and that's why the Continental Free Trade Area was created, so that we can work through these things. There are a number of challenges we have to work through. So those will have to be worked through, and I'm sure that people are committed to working through those. I'm just saying that we are not even anywhere near to what is protectionist in what I see in other parts of the world.
Indeed. Thank you very much for your time this evening, Dr. Agnes Kalibata, President of the Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa.